Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here, and today what I wanted to bring to you guys is a video on all of the information that we got from today's developer update video. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, every single month on New World, the developers give us an update video, kind of sharing their thoughts and feelings on this current state of the game, what plans they've got for the upcoming update, which in this case will be the April one, and of course, any kind of like little leaks, little secrets, little hints towards some upcoming content that we can of course get a little bit closer to. So for example, in this video, like you'll see on the thumbnail of today's video, the brand new PvP currency that we're going to see released with the 3v3 arenas, which is absolutely insane and sounds like a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do today is go over and break down what has been said in the dev update video, give you guys the rundown of all of the info that you need to know, and of course, in the background you're going to see some war gameplay, so you've got something fun to watch if you do want to do that as well. Now if you do go on to enjoy today's video and you would like to see more New World content here from my channel, then please do make sure that you drop in a subscribe down below with the notification bells on, as I do upload brand new World content every single day. And if you do go on to enjoy this video and find it useful, then please do drop me a like as well, as that massively helps to support my content here on the channel. And without further ado, let's jump into it. So, of course, they spent a lot of time talking about the upcoming April update, and although it's a no new content update, if you will, it's more of a bugs balancing, quality of life thing. There is a lot of that to cover. Now, a lot of that I did cover in yesterday's video explaining what the patch notes were from the PTR, so I'm not going to go into every detail, but essentially they're making a lot more focus on player engagement, making ease of access to things a lot better, a lot less friction in terms of it shouldn't be as laborious to actually get to certain points or certain content in the game, and they're making the game more playable and more smooth experience in whichever way you would like to play it. So for an example of this, with the update, you're going to be able to see when you open the map inside a settlement, you're automatically going to be zoomed in on that settlement, so you can see things like the crafting stations, the faction representatives, all of that without having to zoom in your map, which is just a nice little extra feature. And they've also improved things like targeting healing, so when you are trying to select the target you actually want to get, it's a little bit less clunky, which again is just a great thing that's going to help players, especially healers, but all players when they try out the life staff with that experience. Now, one thing that they did go over quite a lot about in this video is player experience, player feedback, and kind of taking on the community narrative, what players are wanting to see, along with what the devs have kind of got in mind for their game, and combining the two. They did mention here about machine learning on feedback, which now does actually include Steam reviews, and obviously that is the aim of trying to see what correlation of patterns get produced through the reviews, through the forum comments, through YouTube videos, through all of this stuff that we do and give feedback to them wise, and then they can kind of see what needs to be fixed. Now, I do worry for them a little bit with the Steam reviews. Some people have absolutely just tanked those and just wrote rubbish, but obviously there's going to be kind of a theme there of things like, for example, not enough endgame content, so they've improved that. There's not enough PvP balancing, so they can improve that. So they can kind of pick up the themes of why people may not be playing the game as long as they would like them to, and obviously hopefully take that feedback on going forward to improve the overall experience. Now, they have done a ton of fixes with this update. The first one is that they have fixed a total of 1,500 defects since the February patch, which is where they fixed a ton of stuff as well. 600 of those were kind of like polishing type things, and 900 of them were more substantial fixes, making things more streamlined, more accessible, and, you know, improving the QOL of every player, which is obviously what we want, which is fantastic. They now have the game in a more streamlined state with less hassle with everything game-wide, which leads to a much more natural and smoother gameplay experience. So that's their kind of take on what they've got the game's position to now. Obviously we'll have to wait till this is released to try it out, but it certainly is getting there. Even from the February patch, a lot of us have been saying it, and the March patch as well, with the new content that came out pretty smoothly. So if the April patch has got anything like the past two, we're probably going to be in a pretty decent position and nicely ready for these PvP arenas and brand new reward tracks, which we're going to move on to in just a second here. Now, they also talked about their in-game events. Obviously, we've had the double XP weekend, the free weekend, etc. They did say that there would be a potential for more free-to-play weekends in the future, which I think would be fantastic. There would also be opportunities for more double XP weekend, as it did receive so much positive feedback. But they are also looking at brand new events going forward as well, things that we've not seen yet. So there's lots of things potentially around the corner, which I quite like. It keeps us all in the loop with, oh, maybe they've got something coming out soon. And they've obviously got a few things up their sleeve ready to go, which is a great state for the game to be in. Now, also, they've talked about the leveling experience. They took quite a bit of depth about explaining how that's got a lot better since the start of the game. And actually, a lot of the devs have been playing their own characters at level 60, of course, but then they've restarted and done some new, fresh level characters, especially while double XP was active. And they said they found it themselves a lot more pleasurable to play through. It was a lot smoother experience. So they've said they recommend everybody go and try out this new leveling experience. So maybe that's something I will do myself to test this out, because it was a little bit more based on just getting to level 60 before. Now it seems like it could be a journey through there, which would be pretty cool to test out, so maybe I'll have a look at that one as well. Now, moving back into the double XP event specifically, they talked about the feedback that they received for this, saying that lots of players thought it went really well internally in terms of their statistics. It did really well for the game, and of course, at least on my server, I think that it was really, really good. Personally, I think it was one of the best events they've done. All of like the landmarks and kind of areas outside of the towns were much more populated. There was people running around everywhere, like kind of around the world, traveling to and from monuments or the landmarks, and just generally people roaming about the world, collecting things, killing mobs, all that kind of good stuff, which is much more like the first couple of months of launch, which was a great feeling. Now, at least on my server, it felt much more alive, so maybe we should see more of these in the future. I would certainly like to see it, and the devs seem to think that that would be a good idea. But going off the back of this, maybe something that I think would be cool is the idea of company skills or buffs that are similar to town buffs, but things like you could increase the weapon XP earned or crafting XP earned for a certain amount of time with a company buff that again would encourage players to be moving around the map, grinding out these weapon levels, grinding out these gathering resources or whatever it is, and I think that could be a really cool thing, but obviously it'd have to be balanced. It's just kind of building off the back of the event type stuff. I think that would be a lot of fun. Now, they also moved in here and talked about the Easter event, which I have made a couple of videos on here on the channel, so if you guys want to check those out, they will be linked on the end screen. You can kind of click through and see what that gives you, but essentially you've got your diamond gypsum from the rabbits for now, the corrupted rabbits that is. You've also got 5 of the defiled rabbits feet per day, which give you a luck boost once consumed, and the super rare drop, which is the brand new mythic rabbits defiled chest. Once you get your hands on that, there is only 1 per character, but that is like the legendary mythic drop from this. I still haven't got it, so I'm still working towards that, but it is something that a lot of players are trying to get their hands on with, so that's happening at the moment, which is pretty cool. They are also planning new and further events, like, for example, the summer event, which was on the roadmap. This is shaping up to be a pretty big style thing, but of course, like we've seen here, we've got the Rabbits Revenge Easter event, and I'm sure there'll be other things coming throughout the year as well, so we've just got to keep eyes peeled for those, which is quite exciting again. This is where we get into the chunk of what the kind of thumbnail was leading to, and that is the brand new PvP reward track that we're going to be seeing getting released with the 3v3 arenas. Now, this is super exciting. Essentially, what it's going to be is that any PvP activity will increase that reward tracker XP and allow you to rank up with the track. So essentially, you'll be given a reward track. Anything you do that's PvP based, whether it's wars, whether it's outpost rush, open world PvP, faction quests that are PvP based, anything like that, and of course the brand new arenas when they drop will give you PvP specific XP that will allow you to rank up along this track. Now, also with that, what we'll be seeing is an introduction of a brand new PvP currency called PvP Salt. And the way that they explained that was, of course, you know, like you're salty when you die, so someone's upset, or the salt of someone's tears, all of that good stuff. So it's almost like a little bit of a meme, which I quite like, but it is also going to be a usable currency which players can use to unlock brand new PvP specific rewards and stuff that, you know, you can get from doing these PvP activities. I would imagine things like gypsum orbs and umbral shards potentially are going to be included in this to give, you know, PvP exclusive almost players a chance to rank up and upgrade their gear and get some cool stuff from doing what they enjoy, which is really cool. We haven't got any specifics on those rewards yet, but of course I will keep you guys updated as soon as we do, because that's something I am very much looking forward to. Now, with that as well, they touched specifically on the 3v3 arenas and gave us a little bit more detail on what we can expect to see with those. Firstly, they will be a best of 5, so the first team to win 3 rounds of this arena battle will be the victors of that match. There will be lots of rewards at the end of these matches, including the brand new PvP Salt currency, and arenas will allow for pre-made groups, so 3-man stacks to queue up, as well as solo queuing, and you'll just be paired with whoever else is solo queuing in there, get paired together as a team, and off you go, which I do think is going to be a pretty cool experience. It means that everybody can get involved. Now, one thing I know a lot of players have been asking about that they did cover as well is what happens if you've got players kiting around the edges, kind of avoiding fights. Essentially, they've got a ring of fire that is going to start to close in as time goes on throughout the round, so it's going to make the arena smaller and smaller and smaller, so that you basically forced to fight it out and make the end of the match kind of entertaining, action-packed, and make the games go at a nice pacey speed, which in my opinion is a really, really good thing, so that should be a lot of fun as well. Now, they have also touched on the Expedition Group Finder, which will be coming soon. They didn't give us any specifics on when that will be coming in, unfortunately, but it is something they've talked about in a decent bit of depth here, saying that you'll be able to make a listing from the dungeon entrance, whichever one that you're wanting to do. You can declare the roles, which will be a new expedition feature going forward, so you can declare whether you're a healer, a tank, a DPS, and when you set up a group that you're looking for group finders with, you can explicitly say which roles you have and which roles you're looking for, which is a really cool thing. It's something we've seen in similar MMO type style games, and this is something that I think a lot of players will really like. Now, this group finder will also allow you to check the spec, the stats, the gear score, and the expertise of any players wanting to join, as well as you'll be able to set a minimum level, so for the leveling kind of expeditions, or a minimum gear score for if you're doing the mutations, I would assume, for players or people that want to join. So you're not able to join if you're under that level or gear score, which again for mutations, if you're trying to random queue, is going to be fantastic, because they physically won't be able to cheese the system. It'll be, if you're not at 619, you can't join this group for this expedition that we're doing. So that's pretty cool. I do like the way that's going to work, and hopefully it will allow for lots of players to be able to queue up and get this content done much easier with a group of, you know, similarly geared players, which is fantastic, especially for mutations. They also looked at community questions then, and they kind of broke down a couple of things here. Firstly, they looked at transfers. They said that they've got more groundwork coming in for the regional transfers, so they will be released shortly after the April update, meaning that at some point early May, we are likely to see regional transfers in action and active, so you will be able to do that. They are also adding paid character transfers. They will be available just shortly after the April update too, so probably early May again. This is the same as the free character transfer tokens that we've had, where you're able to take your character and take it to a different world in your region. These will now be paid, so again, people will have different views on that. We don't know what the price of this is going to be yet, but again, when we do get more news on that, I'll keep you guys updated. Personally, I like that the option is there, but I'm not sure what I think about the paid thing yet. Of course, if people are wanting to move around that often, then the option's there for them, but I think most players are going to be pretty set, at least if they're on a decently populated world for the time being. But what I would like to see is potential free transfers or more active mergers of some of the less populated servers, just to ensure that everybody has a great gameplay experience, which I do know that is something they are working on as well. Then finally here, they talked about a couple of last things, being weapon balancing and stats. So the weapon balancing, specifically they spoke about the bow, and the bow not really being up to par with some of the other weapons, as well as some other things, but specifically the bow, because they talked about the fluidity, attack cancelling, etc. being looked at, and things like where you've rooted after shooting the bow due to a lack of translation in the code. They are looking at all of those things to be able to make it a much more fluid weapon, bring up some of the abilities to make them do a little bit more damage, etc, etc. Essentially what we could end up seeing is the bow coming right back into the focus and being one of the better weapons to take in Aeternum, but of course we'll have to wait until after the April update to see what these changes are, so do keep your eyes peeled for that, and again, I will update you guys when we see something on it. Now finally, they covered stats like I said there, so these are some pretty cool stats I wanted to again reiterate here. So they've had 33,000 427 wars total in Aeternum, which is a massive amount. They have over 8 million expeditions completed. The most dangerous enemy in the game so far has been Captain Thorpe in the Depths, that has killed over 4.8 million players. I was on that list a couple of times. Scott Lane, who is the game lead, he also said he was on that list a couple of times. I think a lot of us have been. That's been a pretty tricky one, especially when it was first released. So yeah, you're not alone in that. And also 413 million players' deaths total in Aeternum, which is quite a lot, especially if that's including everything that's happened. Either way, that's a ridiculous amount. Nearly 500 million player deaths. So yeah, we're looking pretty good, and some pretty fun stats to share with the community there to see how, you know, everybody's getting on all together. Be really cool if we could see some cross-server leaderboards so that we can see some of these stats on another scale. Which companies won the most wars, which faction, for example, currently holds the most territories. All of that good stuff would be cool to see, but hopefully that could be some features we'll see going forward as well. So that is pretty much it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you found this video useful, kind of breaking down what we saw in the dev update. Some really cool and exciting things coming our way, particularly looking at the PvP arenas and PvP reward track side of things, but also in the essence that they are looking to do more events, which I think a lot of us enjoy. So that is something really cool as well. But that is going to be it for today's video. So I would like to thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure that you drop a subscribe and a like down below, as both of those things massively help to support me and my content. And I will catch you guys very, very shortly on a brand new upload. Take care, guys, and peace.